in a support role, and I was working on the enhancements of the uh, already creative use cases and the enhancement of the use cases, and just so lack of practice with the development. So with this course,
Priyanka, treat this as an interview.
okay.
No
So
answer. Tell me about
I've,
yourself.
actually I've been giving interviews recently, so I'll just go with the same.
Okay.
So I've been working with Tata Consultancy Services, and from last 2.5 years, I've been working on the working with UiPath application enhancement, and it is basically on the web application, and
You're on mute again. You're muted or what? Priyanka, I cannot
yeah,
hear you.
yeah. All basically I've worked on mainly on the web applications, and also have used the Excel and the email automations in the use cases. Also, I have an idea about the orchestrator and assets, all the functionalities of the orchestrator. I have used to manage all the uh, use cases in the orchestrator. So I'm familiar with the orchestrator as well.
Okay. So Priyanka, small suggestion.
Mhm.
So you are good with technical knowledge, but you are not sounding good as technical as you are.
Okay.
I'll tell you the reason. Every time you are using, I am working on enhancements of the existing process, and so that became your main target for your answer.
Mhm.
Okay. And second thing is you're just saying that I have idea about assets, I have idea about orchestrator. So you are not strongly telling to the interviewer that you are very good at what you're doing.
Okay.
This is getting recorded. So again, you can hear whatever you have said after this meeting. But what exactly is happening with your answer is you are giving out the keywords, but if you are working with 2 years of experience, see, you should have developed at least 6 to 8 projects, considering at least 3 months a project for 2 years.
Should I go with the explanation of the project as well? Like I've worked
No,
on.
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
It's not about the project that I'm uh, like you need not go into each and every project and tell.
Mhm.
Okay, here is what you can also tell. Hi, I'm Priyanka. And for the past 2.5 years, I am working with UiPath, and I have done tons of automation with respect to UI, web, and various other tools. I'm an integration expert. I have worked with integrations of APIs, web automation, and desktop automations. One of the main important activities or some of the main achievements of mine are I have developed and delivered a project within a deadline of 1 week. So the main reason why that came as an urgent project is so the client requested for a immediate data extraction from an API. Well, to build that process, they require or they intimated us to have the information and to send it over orchestrator as queues to different process. Okay, now I'm able to analyze the project and able to view the documents quickly and deliver it very quick or deliver it fast. And the response time of mine was very good. And once the project is deployed into production, the client was able to see high returns or highly active bot and it was delivering results as fast as it can. Well, initially I found that there are one or two exceptions, but I was able to immediately resolve them because most of the settings I maintained them in the orchestrator. And most of the settings I use modularized approach for developing my automations. So whatever I developed, I use the best practices. Okay, Priyanka, now when I have said this, do I know about your role or do I know about your activities? You need to speak.
No, yeah,
So if you are someone who is interviewing, were you able to get that I am experienced with UiPath or not?
based on the,
Answer that I have given.
yeah,
So why are you telling that I do have experience if I gave this answer? Anyone can answer this point. Like we are just trying to discuss for the next 5 minutes. So anyone can answer. Why did my answer sound acceptable for an interviewer?
So Vajrangi used some technical words there, like project related. Instead of using explaining the projects, he used how you perform, like that kind of things. Like what are the technical aspects he used while working on the process.
Okay.
So you have mostly
can
been
explain.
You have mentioned in such a way that you have really worked on the projects, and second thing is you have immediately met the deadline given by their client, and you have easily handled the exceptions.
Mhm.
And yeah, you have mentioned about the modular approach of developing the automation,
Mhm.
and you have mentioned about various tools that you have used in the UI path.
Mhm.
You have almost explained everything very clearly.
Vajrang, especially you took very good time to say about this.
You are not, I'm not able to hear you properly, Shashank. What is it?
So you took pretty much time, like without any confusions. You was very confident and very clear at what you were saying.
Yes, yes. And if you observe, I did not have any of the experience or that I have mentioned. I just built up a story on the fly and I haven't prepared it. Okay. See, one main thing that you need to understand is when you are building a story, build it in such a way that it has three things. It has your achievements, it has some problem statements, and how are you able to resolve those problems? And in case of any errors, as an experienced professional, how are you able to solve it? Okay. People who have problem solving skills and people who are having exceptional skills with respect to their own knowledge. See, here in the interview, interviewer will not or cannot come to your location or work location or your client and ask feedback about your work. Have that in your mind. All the authenticity that they have is on your voice, on the data that you're giving up in the interview, and how appropriate and how prompt you are for an asked question. Okay. The minute you are able to convince an interviewer with tell me about yourself, the next part of the interview will be a cakewalk. Okay. So let's go and get started. So we have how many members today? 10 members closely or 9 members? 8 members. Okay, fine. Anyway, let's get started and try to understand important concepts daily we are trying to learn. So today is one new interesting topic. How many of you have worked with automation challenge project or website?
RPA challenge.
Yeah,
RPA
rpachallenge.com.
challenge.
Yes.
Um,
How
yeah,
many
I
of
have
you
worked
have
with
worked
it.
with it?
Yeah, I
I
work.
have worked with it.
RPA.
So
Okay. So let's see rpachallenge.com. Just need to open that. Moreover, I am not concerned about how you were working or how you completed it, but my interest is something different. Okay, so let me quickly share my screen as well. I'm not sharing my screen yet. I know. Thanks for reminding. Okay. So here you go. Now, this is my project, and as a client, I have an input file. See, this is the normal tendency of any kind of project. I have an input file from where I need to extract the information. I need to place it somewhere. So every project is the same thing. You need to extract information from somewhere and place it somewhere. Other than that, it's nothing. But how you extract it and what are the business rules you can apply. So that's what will matter. Okay. Now here we go. So if we are trying to work with this, let's start with our notes as well. Notes. Okay, how many of you have started with RPA Starter or RPA Solution Architect Foundation? Anyone who have started it?
yeah, I have just started.
See, 1 hour of my training is sufficient to get started. But if you want to really achieve, you need to put in your efforts for yourself. Okay, so today is day 7 and we are working with first project, RPA challenge. This is a use case where we are trying to convert it as a project. Okay, now first thing, we need to do every kind of activity, right? So yesterday we completed analysis, document design, and we are checking with document design, development, testing, and production deployment. These are yet to be pending. But let's try to work on all these in our current project. And can we do that within next 20 minutes? Is what we'll see. Okay, so I will try to use dictation. It will be easier for me. So as a client, I need data to be added up to your website. The website is static. We don't have any dynamic fields in it, but the data is huge. So we have data in the form of Excel. Data can be available in a shared file or a shared folder. A user will normally take the data daily from a shared file, open it and see all the information and add the data manually into a web application and store it. So this is kind of a data entry work. So as a client, I just want to have this process automated. Now, if you are a developer, what kind of questions will you ask?
What is the inventory? Like,
What inventory? I'm not talking about inventory, right?
Okay.
Is it a structured data?
Good question. Okay, then
And we will ask what kind of data this is.
what kind of data or both comes in the same way?
I mean to say like what is there in inside the Excel, like what kind
Okay,
of information.
information about the data.
Yeah.
Okay, input file. Next.
What is the frequency of performing this task?
Super. Okay. Then
Um, will there be any system changes within few days?
any changes in the application or the
Yeah,
process?
right.
Then who are the stakeholders? Next. In
How
case
much
of any X, yes, tell me.
how much time does it take to do this task manually?
Super point. How much time, manual time, is consumed to complete this activity? Okay. In case of exception, who are responsible? Anything more?
What are the business exceptions that you are going to expect?
Process design that can. Do you have structure? Do you have a process documented?
Um,
Rather than asking business rule exceptions immediately, because a business user may not know the complete terms that we are talking about.
right. Yeah.
Next, is this an inbound? Like already we have asked if there are any system changes in future. That's fine. Okay, we may have many questions, but you have asked the most important questions at any point of time. Okay. Now, if you see, if you can have something like this in the initial, so this is the initial discussion, what will happen between a business user and a BA or business analyst. Okay. Now, when we ask these questions, then they will come up with answers stating that, okay, this is a structured data, we'll have information somewhere, and we need to fetch the information and we need to extract it and save it somewhere. So all these kind of questions you will have an answers for. Now, as a developer, you already know what are the things that you need to implement, like if the process is repeatable and if the data is static and we have proper information on where the data will come and how the data will come. So all these things will come in place. Now, with respect to document and design, I would like to add, let me just see if I can do this. Open in browser. This is opening in browser. Let's just wait if it can open completely. Meanwhile, we have Visio in our machine. Close file. So here, let's add a new folder. Project 1, RPA challenge. Okay. Now new visual drawing. And here we are mapping RPA challenge. Okay. And what are we trying to do? Okay, this is not allowing me to do it. But let's continue. So there are two things that we need to develop. So what is the first thing? As is process. And what's the second thing? Rename to be process. So we are not going to develop or check with PDDs and SDDs right now. But first, let's try to understand what is the process and how we are working on it. And then we'll go ahead and complete the other activities. Okay. Now let's check with flowchart, blocks, banners, symbols, process steps. Okay. And what else do we have? Basic organization chart, flowchart, flow diagrams, basic flowchart steps, and okay, so these are the basic flowchart steps. We'll start, we'll have a process step and insert. So if you see here, I can just map it like this. If I have code on it, then I can map it directly. We'll start. So let's go and develop first as is process. Start and then process. So what is the first step that we need to do?
Open the website.
Extract.
So before doing that, do you need to read the file?
No.
Yeah, read Excel file and extract data.
Okay. So open shared folder. So after opening shared folder, what else do you need to do? I'm just trying to increase it to 18 so that you can now see it properly. Okay, then navigate to current file, Excel data. Open file. Then what else do we need to do? We also need to for each. Do we have for each? For each. I'm just trying if there is any for loop. Just a second. Bridge in timeline. In timeline custom. Okay, so we can take it like this. 18. So what else are we trying to do here? After opening Excel file, for each information, can we take it as for each information? Next to
Read Excel
exist.
data.
Okay, read Excel file, open file, everything comes here. Okay, we are just opening a file and entering the information. What information do we need to? We need to open RP challenge as well, right?
Yeah.
Open RP challenge. So this particular activity everyone must do after completion of our current meeting, today's meeting. Okay, so open RPA challenge, then for each item, complete this activity. So let's see if there is any container. So blank container, do we have any blank container? Let's see this in the shapes. There is nothing in here. process outline. We have process outline, right? So after opening it, what should we do?
Input data into the browser. Sorry, input data into the application from
So for
Excel sheet.
each information, do we need to do that? Like fill all the information. So can I just write fill all fields? Okay. Hit next button. Sorry. And delete this outline. This is not helping me. Okay, after opening this, fill all fields. Or before filling all the fields, we need to have one more thing, right? What is it? Click start. Okay, click start, fill all the fields. Click next button. So what do we have? Click submit button. Okay. Now after you click submit button, what do we have? What else can we do? Do we need to check for next row?
Yeah.
Okay. So here it is. I'm just downloading the Excel for the sake of information. Like if you see here, I have a list of items. Okay, so first name I need to enter, last name I need to enter, phone number I need to enter. After completing all the items, I need to hit on submit and enter the second items. So we are just trying to map in the same way. Okay, check for next row after clicking submit button. Check for next row. If the next row is available, again fill all fields. Can I just remap it here? Okay, so if the next row is not available, what should I do?
Final submit.
No need to have final submit. Extract result. Okay, and then stop. So after having this one, stop. Design, auto fit, auto size. Okay, I'm just checking if I can have anything specific. Themes. Yeah, I think this is good. Theme colors, diagram layout, flowchart. Sorry. Yeah, I think this is fine for me. Compact tree. Okay. This is not good. Radial, not good. So these are basically all the different types of options that I have. I'm just trying to fit something out of it. Okay, so what am I doing first? Start, open shade folder, navigate, open file, read all the fields and check if the item exists or not. Click on submit button, fill all the fields, check for next row. If the next row is not available, extract result and stop. So can this be a simple process as this process? Nothing else, right? Do you see anything else in this? Yes, no, all right. What's happening?
Yeah, this is the manual process.
Okay, so if a robot is doing it to be, then what should we do? Rename to be process. For the sake of time, I'll just copy each and everything from here to here. Okay, now here also a robot is, now this is the activity of robot. So I just want to have robot in place. Let's see if we can find anything. No, I cannot find anything. Insert online picture. I can just search for robot. So let's insert this one. Okay, now this is my robot process. How can we do it? So most of them are still same. Okay, so if you are a human, there is no process change that's happening over here. But at the end, after extracting the result, since this is a robot, can we just add send an email? Send email with result. Can I do that?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so see, I am not changing too many things or I'm not adding too much of activity over here. Design, diagrams, themes. I'll just go with this one. Okay, this is good. I'll start a process. I will open shared folder, and after opening a shared folder, I will navigate to Excel. So instead of navigating to Excel, I can just read the file with path. Read file, read Excel, read data file, a specific path. Okay, so after reading the specific file, you are opening the data. Like, so here we'll check like if the file has information or not. Okay, let's add some decision block and let's say if data exists, okay, or if next line exists, next row exists. So when we are saying next row, if we even if we are not starting, the first row becomes the next row. And for the last item, if it is completed, the next row is not available. So next row is the item that we are trying to work. Okay. So if the next row exists, so I'm having open RPA or challenge as a separate entity. So I'm mentioning it is separate. So this will open on the site and click on start and then fill all fields. So all this will happen and I'm just trying to work on directly with this one. So to fill all the fields, what should already be happening? We should have RPA challenge open and we should also have fill all the fields completed. Let's just try to increase the font size. I hope you are able to see it. If not, this will help. Okay. And then let's try to increase the shape as well. Shape outline, shape size. Okay, this is fine. So let's just click. So if next row is not available, what we need to do? Like if there is no information uh, in the Excel.
Extract results.
Extract the results.
No, and see when the data itself failed to read, what should we do?
Exception.
Send an
Yes.
email.
So if there is an exception, if successful or if successful, then go and fill all the fields. If not, then go ahead and send an exception email. Okay. Now here we cannot check for each and every activity, right? If each and every activity is correct or not, or each and every activity is validated or not, we cannot do it or represent it in this particular place. But is there a way that we can represent it?
What is that, Vajrang? I didn't get that.
So for example, now if this is successful, we are sending out an exception email. If it is not successful, what if it failed at filling all fields? What if it failed at click submit button? What if it failed at getting the next row? What it should do?
Yeah, we can create a log.
Instead of creating a log, can we also write state saying that we will just send out an exception email stating that the process got failed? Can we do
Yeah,
that or not?
yeah, we can know the user. We can let to know the user like if this got failed.
Yep, correct. So that's what we will try to see. The process, whatever manual process you are doing, that is manually correct. Okay. But when we are working with automation, we need to make sure that the bot runs successfully. And even if there is an exception, we need to make sure that exception is sent out properly. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just add a process, but I'll keep it as a empty item. Or I can just make it as a container. If I can have a container, that's fine. Basic shapes. Okay. So I'll just add this one over here. So write parenthesis. Okay. And extracting result. So check for next row. So here this goes in here. And if next row exists, then go ahead and fill all the fields. And if the next row is not available, then send extract result. Okay. Now just see this one. Extracting the result. Send out an email and stop. So before stopping, let's close a parenthesis, left brace, right parenthesis, and okay. So this is just a visual representation that I'm trying to make, nothing else. Okay. Now, in case of exception, what we need to do?
Send exception email.
Yes, in case of exception, send an exception email. Okay. Now, this complete process is checked for exceptions. Now, if we automate or if we develop the same thing, so I have 15 minutes more. I have enough time to automate. So what can we do? How much time do you take? Do you think that this complete process will take to be as process into? So no, first thing, did you understand as a difference between as is process and to be process or not?
So as this is kind of a human manual process, but to
Yes.
be is more specific to the robot one.
Yeah, how a robot will function, and if a robot fails, what are its implications and how a robot need to handle it. So that's what we need to see in the to be process. Okay, so you can say that as is process is mostly same as the to be process, but in as is process, if a human is there, if there is any exception, he will restart the work. But in to be process, if there is an exception, a robot cannot continue, right? So we'll start with a flowchart or flowchart diagram. So transactional process, you can say RBA challenge, and let's start it. So in the interest of time, I'm just reading the sheet. I'm not downloading it again. There are few things that we need to do. So today we'll complete the process and tomorrow we'll convert this into RE framework. Okay. And most of you know all the activities. And how many activities do you think it will take to complete all the process? Like how many type intos are required to add all these items?
7.
7. Anything else? Any other answer?
No.
7 only? So what I'll do, I will use only one activity or one type into to complete all the process. Let's see how. Main workflow, I always take this opportunity. So what do we need to do? Read data input. So first what we need to do? Read the Excel, right?
Yeah.
Read range and enter. I'm using the same. So I'll just save this file in our project folder so that I can have easy access. Project. Okay. File. Save as. Enable saving. File save as. Just go with a new folder or more options. Just go with this path. Challenge data. Okay, so once I read this, okay, so what do I need to do? I need to give it a path, right? So I'll give it a path. It's already open. So this is sheet 1. You can just go ahead and close it. Okay. Seems to be good. So can I just remove this range? To get all the information, we can remove the range. Okay. Properties. I'm creating a new table, control D, DT, input table. Okay, we are adding the headers as well. Now, if you observe, this is scoped only, the variable is scoped only in this particular input table. Let's make it to main. Okay. Now, data input, checking have an input, like this is a new transaction we are checking. If that is there, then process the transaction and complete it. If not, let's go and close it. So do you think that every time do we need to read this information?
Not
All right.
required. Reading once is enough.
Yeah, so can I just do something like this? I will first read the information and then I will send it. Okay. If I just use auto arrange, this will set automatically. Okay. So what it is doing, it is first assign, assign. So this is new transaction. And how do we need to assign one row and how do we need to process it? So this is the item that we need to do. See, we have data. Let's just do something like this. I'll remove everything for the help of newcomers or freshers. So what I'll do, I'll just use a Excel application scope. Okay. Excel or and I can do something like this for loop for each data table. For data table. For each row in data table. So what do we need to do in for each row? For each row in data table. Can I just give this as DT input table? So what do I need to do now? Go ahead, talk.
Pick each columns of each row.
So
For that,
I'll take application of browser, and I'll just add for each row in this because we will use this particular application, right? So can I use this? So I'm just taking RPA challenge and I'm using this one for each row. Now here I will use type into, and I will just indicate an element. So let's check on first name alone. First name, and the target is anchor base is this one. Settings, first name, and then let's hit on. Okay. So what should be typed in? This is, we have for each row, right? Current row of first name. Is it correct? Is it right or not?
Yes, it is right.
This is for the first name. Now let's see the properties of it, and let's try to work with this, or just try to understand. The target is coming like this one, like input type is ANA, and anchor selector is input type. It is input, and what is the anchor window selector is fine. Text is fine. Verify execution is not required. Input item is fine. For the selector also we have. I'll just update this one. Edit target. So I'll use selector instead of fuzzy selector. I don't need a fuzzy selector, or so these are the changes. Like if you use selector, it will go directly by this one. If it is fuzzy selector, then it will go something like, okay, go with a name, or if it finds any accuracy with 0.5 accuracy, it will go ahead and type it. But with selector, it will strictly restrict to whatever it has. And I will open UI Explorer so that I can target it much more better. Now here I will indicate an anchor and I will select first name. Now see, first I will go to label and I will check what is the label details. Label first name. If that is first name and if it has an input, then go ahead and add the information. So that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, and then validate, confirm. Is it easy or tough to do it? Easy, right? We are just trying to select one particular item. Okay, now I said right that we will be using only one activity. But how come that is possible? Let's see. For each row we are doing, let's add a click activity. Let's see what we are trying to do. Click activity, single click, click indicate. So I'll just indicate and submit and then continue. So for each row, it will go ahead and add all the values. Okay. Now I have 7 more minutes, too much time. Let's see how this goes. I'll rearrange, attach browser, attach window, and then I'll continue. So what's the error? First name dot toString. Okay, let's debug this file and let's see how things are moving in. So what is the expected result with the current automation?
It will enter first name in all the.
Okay, seems to be right. Let's see if that is completing it or not. So what's happening? So row first name, column first name doesn't belong to the data table.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can we once check the column name from the Excel? I think
Yes.
there should be some space between first and name.
Yeah, first name first followed by space is there.
Okay,
And I think
let's
after,
copy.
okay.
We'll take it as first name. Let's save it and let's debug it. Thanks for that. Okay. John. Submit first name. So we are able to enter first name properly, but if you observe, we are only entering only first name. So can we do something like this? We have looped in for all the rows, right? For all the rows, this will happen. So can we add one more for loop?
Yeah. For each item in the row.
Yes, correct. Now for loop, this is current row dot items. Item array. Okay. Now I'll just add this one in here. And if you observe, or if you observe this particular items, so whatever column names we have, those are the same names that we have them here, right? Or not? Let's check it again. Okay, first name, last name. So are these the column names that we have or anything different? Mail, phone number.
Uh, Actually, there is a end space for each column name. I think if we can remove, everything
Mhm.
is should be same
Okay,
in
so
this
you're,
Excel.
yeah, so you can just say that dot trim will work.
Trim. Ah, yes.
Okay, it will just remove the end space. And here, instead of item, can I just give it as column name? Column. And if we go here, so this is what. So why is it saying that it is not able to get the item? Because this is of type integer. What this should be type change it to? What a row will have?
Array of
A row will have columns. Data column. Okay. So all we just need is we just need to map data column. System.data column. And these are data rows. In the row, we are mapping to each and every column. Okay. Now column dot item array dot. Okay, here dot columns or items. We can say that child rows, or you can just say item array row table string. Item array should be fine. Or what is it telling?
uh, actually the current row itself contains all the columns, right? So why we are
Yeah.
keeping that item array?
The current row will have all the columns, but this is not a collection of rows, like collection of items.
Okay.
Okay, so dot item dot. So I'm just trying to find a way to have rows or column details inside a row. But how can I do that? So can I just add this one like this, like dt input table dot columns. So when I say it, this is generic enumerable collection of data column, data column, disallows from implicit conversion from data column to generic value. This is what it is telling. So what should we do? Okay, I'm not using for each. I'm using parallel for each. Okay, let's give it here. Column and Let's go and give it over here. Let's try with this one now. Object, data column. Now this is not throwing any error. Okay, so what exactly we are doing? For each row and for each column we are taking. So is it understood or not? Let's take example like this. So for each row, we are taking the first row. Now for each column, we are taking the first column. So for every row, it will go into every column. Understood, not understood. I need some response.
Yes, Vajrang.
Understood. Understood.
So what we are trying to do, first we are trying to iterate for all the rows, then we are inside every row, we are trying to iterate for each and every column. Okay, now how can we just try to get this information? Now, can I just get this information like this current row of item dot column name dot toString. So what it will do, current row is this one. In this current row, first name, row of first name will give me this one. Row of last name will give me this one. Row of company name will give me this one. So I'm just using the column name to get the values. Let's try to run this and see. And by the way, how many items did I add? How many type windows did I add?
Oh, only one.
Yes. Now let's debug the file and see. First name added. So why is it adding only the first name every time?
The anchor is first name.
Exactly.
The target is first. Yeah.
Exactly. Now you are getting things correct. Now if you see here in the first name here, whatever we are trying to do, anchor, presentation, web query selector or clicking off secure text target. So this is our selector label and this is our label first name. Okay. So check text first name. So instead of first name, what should we give over here? So every time a column name comes in, right? So that column name we need to give. Okay. So this goes in like this. Cancel. For the selector, instead of first name, can we just give it like this? Plus plus item dot column name dot toString dot trim. So can we just give it something like this?
Yeah.
I'm again giving it from here. Same thing. We are just asking it to do it the same way. Now let's try debug. So first what we did, we first selected one item and after extracting the correct value, we are just going with the next item. So again, this is coming only in the first item. Why? That's the secret of fuzzy selectors. So we should not map it over there, but we should map it ideally over here. Okay, so edit selector. And here you go. Instead of first name, let's go ahead and give. So we are not using fuzzy selector, right? But we have implemented fuzzy selector over there. So that is the reason it's not correcting the values. Debug it again. So in the previous versions of UiPath, fuzzy selector used to be inside the selector itself. Okay, now this is correct. And now here I have one more problem. What is the problem? It's taking too much of time, right? To add the information.
Yeah.
Clicking on submit. Okay, so how can we make sure that this works at fastest pace? And one more thing, this is not even clicking start button in the beginning when we are starting. So what should I do for that? Read range. Can I just add a click activity over here?
Yeah.
Click activity inside the click activity start. And then hit on right. And then what else? I just need to refresh the page in case. Okay, let's leave it as is. Okay, now this one, let's try to extract all the information at the end. Like after completion of submit button, after completion of all the rows, we need to extract the information. So we'll do it at the end. But for now, let's run the file. Let's see how things will move. I'll take 5 more minutes only. See, we'll build the code success or this happy path is built. Now, when we are working it as a project, how we can do that. We'll also see that. And we'll also see how much time is it taking now and how quickly can we automate it. So what is the highest now? What is the least time can you expect? How much time can we reduce for all these activities?
Vajrang, I have seen your YouTube video. It took 7 seconds.
Yeah, it takes less than 7 seconds sometimes. So last two, let's wait and see if we can break that record. So how much time is it taking? 62 seconds, around 1 minute. Okay. Yes. Now here we go. Let's go with this one. Refresh. See, important things are the things that we did not consider. So here we are having a delay by default of 0.3 milliseconds, 0.3 seconds. If we can make it to 0, or if we can just remove this, but before that, make it to 0. And the same thing if we can do it over here. See, do we need the bot to wait every time it enters the data or not required? Items are already available, so this is not required. Okay, and one more thing, here at the end, we have something called simulate type and wait, is this wait for page load. So let's make it to none. We are not waiting for the page load. Verification execution. Type into options. Verification execution, verify element appeared. Okay, let's keep it to none. I'm just checking on what are the properties. So if you see here, click before delay between keys. Let's keep delay between keys as 0. Empty field, none, not required. Activate, not required. Click before typing, none. So I'm just removing everything that's not required. Okay, and targeting methods is selector. Anchor is there. So out of for 1 minute, we are able to do it. Now let's see how fast we can do it. So what is the response? How much time did it take?
It took around 4
seconds.
seconds, but
None of the activities are correct.
correct. Yes.
Yes. So we should have an ideal time of what is correct and what is wrong and how quickly we need to do and how quickly we can avoid something. So the first item delay before we need to have some time because we need to wait for the time it to be available. Okay. Next, activate input mode. So this is simulate. I'll just add simulate or why it is throwing error. Empty field, irrelevant property. Okay, let's just keep Chromium API. And then delay between keys is 0. This is still fine. And empty field, wait for wait for page load. Let's keep it as interactive. Now let's see. It will not be this quick, but yeah, we'll have relatively easiest correct items. Okay, this is still not typing information. Let's see if this is doing it or if I'm not able to see it. And then we'll get to know. No, this is not getting done. So I'll do one thing. I will share this file with you all. So you get me the correct or the best output with the best time. Can you do it and give it to me?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm giving you the code file as well. Just use some property changes or do something, but give me the best result. RPA challenge. I'm just uploading this back into the Teams, and then let's go ahead and RPA challenge 1. So we have this one and the code as well. Just use it and complete it. So tomorrow what we will do, we will complete this in RE framework. Complete RPA challenge in RE framework, and you come up with ideas. I will also explain what is RE framework if you are not aware of RE framework. So that will be covered. Don't worry that if you don't know RE framework, what should I do? And if you also know RE framework, stay and listen. So that will be interesting. Okay, so day 8, RPA challenge in RE framework. Okay, so we'll complete this one. And if you know how to do that, then go ahead and do it and show me. But I need the screenshots to be sent on the best timeout and how you have achieved it. Okay, if you have achieved it, post it in LinkedIn and tag me. Don't miss an opportunity to showcase what you have done. So that's it for today. And